I, the Amherst Township Trustees, call to order. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Abraham?
Here.
Lynch?
Here.
Euring?
Yes.
And I am also here. Okay. I have the meeting minutes from June 24th. I've already caught one mistake. The meeting was called to order at 7:03 p.m. by Lynch with a pledge to flag. There was roll call. I have Abraham listed as here and as absent. So strike the first Abraham. Roll call was Abraham, Lynch, and Euring. Lynch, Euring, and Kish present, Abraham absent. Also in attendance was K. Smarsh, G. Lynch, B. Anderson, P. Slyman, J. Yorks, E. Clary, D. Stark, P. Shenago, B. Shenago, and J. Yanez. 6/6/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Euring to approve the regular meeting minutes of June 10th, 2025 as read. All ayes. 6/7/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Euring to approve the public hearing minutes of June 10th, 2025 regarding a proposed amendment of the settlement agreement between the Board of Trustees of Amherst Township and Amherst Consolidated Properties, LLC, and Lorain County Common Pleas Court, case number 20CV200199. All ayes. 6/8/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Euring. Move to approve the financial reports and payment of items on the payment listing as presented. All ayes. 6/9/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Euring. Move to approve that the May 2025 credit card account transaction detail has been reviewed per policy and is accepted as presented, subject to investigation. All ayes. 6/10/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Euring. Move to approve Township 2026 annual tax budget of estimated revenue and expenditure appropriation per Ohio Revised Code, Section 5705.28, adoption of tax budget as prescribed by the Budget Commission of Lorain County, Ohio. All ayes. Fiscal officer reported she is still waiting to hear from the state auditor on the 2022-2023 audit. I'm waiting for the state auditor to complete their work. Trustee Lynch welcomed everyone to the meeting and asked if there were any comments. Under correspondence, there's a public hearing on 6/24/25 at 7:30 p.m. The Board of Trustees of Amherst Township will hold a public hearing on a proposed amendment to the Amherst Township zoning resolution map that was initiated by application of a property owner. Otarma/HCA property appraisals set for July 7th at 10:30 a.m. Ohio Edison will be trimming trees. Trustee Lynch mentioned an email received from Administrator Ashley regarding Boy Scout Troop 427 and waiving fees for the Middle Ridge Park Pavilion on July 14th. 6/11/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Euring. Move to approve the waiving of Amherst Township Middle Ridge Road Park Pavilion rental rate for Boy Scout Troop 427 on July 14th, 2025. All ayes. Trustee Lynch noted one other item. Residents from Hampshire Farms called to discuss parking. He will definitely have someone here at the first meeting in July. He would like to propose parking on one side only in that development. I believe that he is not you. He is...
Right, he is
Yeah.
the
Yes.
homeowners
Resident.
association
Just
board
to
member.
clarify that. Reports under ambulance. Sandstone Joint Ambulance District quarterly meeting Thursday, July 18th, 2025 at 11 a.m. at the Amherst Fire Station. Under zoning, the Zoning Commission will have a site plan review meeting for a McDonald's restaurant and Pogie's Catering on State Route 58 on July 1st, 2025. Under roads, cemetery, and parks, all regular maintenance ongoing. Under LOCO, developments are going crazy in Lorain County. Creekside Golf Course in Eaton Township being developed as residential subdivision by Perpetual Development. The topography at the southern edge of the Lorco sanitary line would make installation of a gravity collection system very costly. The developer has proposed using grinder pumps as an alternative. Lorco Policy and Finance Committee are reviewing. Trustee Lynch suspended the regular meeting for the public hearing on a proposed amendment to the Amherst Township zoning resolution map that was initiated by application of a property owner at 7:30 p.m. Trustee Lynch returned to the regular meeting from the public hearing at 8:41 p.m. 6/12/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Euring. Move for authorization of map amendment consideration for property owners P&P Partnership LTD / Paul Slyman and applicant Camco Properties LLC to rezone approximately 102.82 acres consisting of permanent parcels 0500, 056, 000, 066, 0500, 045, 000, 040, 0500, 045, 000, 088, 0500, 046, 00028, 0500, 046, 00001, and other parcels fronting the east side of State Route 58 between 7615 and 7765 Levitt Road and the south side of Middle Ridge Road between 45805 and 45705 from the present classification of a mixture of residential, agricultural, general business, mixed-use overlay, and light industrial to proposed classification of residential conservation, residential agricultural, and general business. All ayes. Under complaints, they're being handled by the designated individual. Trustee Lynch noted the NOPEC grant portion that we need to use up. He would like to discuss with Kevin and Linda to get the biggest bang for our buck. Also need to look at our next road project. Under new business, the next regularly scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, July 8th, 2025 at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall. 6/13/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Yurg, to adjourn at 8:54 p.m. All ayes.
Other than the correction that Chris mentioned to the June 24th, 2025 meeting minutes, are there any other corrections?
I have none.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to approve as corrected.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Yurg?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
And then, Chris, as far as the June 24th public hearing, which is very detailed, I'm going to make a motion to accept as presented. But first, David, were there any corrections to those meeting minutes?
I had none. I read it over. I had none.
Okay. Well, then I'm making a motion to approve the June 24th, 2025 public hearing meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Yurg?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Okey-doke. Thank you. Then under financials, you have a payment listing in front of you, which is basically, looking down, pretty much regular monthly bills. There's some quarterly tax payments, like the city of Lorraine. There is the payment you mentioned to Amherst Township for the final reimbursement of CARES Act funds. Otherwise, everything is boilerplate. Our year-to-date revenue, ready, David?
Yes.
$993,059.46. And our year-to-date expenditures are $644,260.45.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the financial reports and the payments of the items on the payment listing as specified in the documents provided by the fiscal officer.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Yuri?
Yes.
And the only other thing that I have is that I am still waiting to hear back from Michael. I did reach out to him, but like I said, he is working on the county. They're deep into that right now. And I'm expecting when he finishes that, then we'll be back on the front burner.
Hopefully we get a response before the next audit is due.
Then, yeah, in 2 months we get to start a new one.
And Chris, I didn't get, what was the motion number for the approval of financial reports?
7-3.
Thank you. Okay, we don't have anyone present, so I'm going to move on to the correspondence. I wasn't sure, Kevin, did the HCA for Otarma show up?
Yes, he did. Blake did today.
Okay, everything go good?
Everything went real well.
Okay. And the only other item at the next meeting, I think Linda sent this correspondence out to everyone, is Lumos Fibers Construction manager will be at the next trustee meeting on July 22nd. We had Loomis Fiber come in and meet separately, and I was able to meet with them as far as what their plans are to be a competing internet provider in our township and also the city of Amherst. But now the actual gentleman responsible for the construction will be here. Hopefully we'll get his contact information also, so if we have any of those questions that came up when Brightspeed was going through and doing all the underground and digging up in people's yards, and if you recall, we always seem to have difficulty getting a response back from anybody as to what was going on and what the progress was in their overall plan. But Lumos has assured us they will provide us all the contact information and notify the residents before they start digging in their areas. There will be some areas they won't be underground. If there are existing utility poles and they have the authority to use those poles, they will use the overhead poles as opposed to going to underground.
How do you spell that?
Pardon?
How do you spell that?
Lumos. And you should have that email, David, several of them.
Well, I might, but it's right now Lumos.
Yeah.
You're saying Lumos. I put in Loomis, but no, it's Lumos. Okay.
Oh, the old Loomis camera.
Lumos.
Okay, but that's it for me as far as, well, there'll be one other correspondence here. I did send this out to everyone. We did receive from Joe Waldecker, the manager of Rural Lorraine County Water Authority, you'll probably see they're putting that new 12-inch water line in on the east side of State Route 58. That upgrade from an existing 3-inch line was to service the sandstone development. The sandstone development is required to put a hydrant on that 12-inch line to service and the area of State Route 58. But if you go, it's been some time, Chief Wilhelm has passed on, but former Amherst Fire Department Chief Wilhelm can encourage the township to add 2 additional hydrants on there during the construction phase. And because those came after the fact, the township had to agree to pay for those. Joe's letting us know now that they've got the actual bill in, and he did send an itemized bill, which you'll have in an itemized list of how rural Lorraine County water is being billed, and they had the hydrants itemized in there. Total cost for the 2 hydrants is $20,700. That's about 10% more than what the original estimate was that was provided to us a couple years ago, but obviously costs have gone up. But he will be sending a bill, so there's nothing to pay yet, Chris. But this will obviously come out of our fire fund because that's the only reason for those hydrants. Again, if you recall, what Chief Wilhelm wanted to avoid was if he ever needed the water lines down in that area, he didn't have to drag hoses across 5 lanes of State Route 58 since there was access from the west side of the road, but then you've got hoses that are now impeding traffic or chance of people getting hurt or equipment being damaged. Now they'll actually have those additional hydrants on the east side of 58. So though there's additional cost here, it definitely is going to improve the safety in that area and the potential protection for the existing businesses and future businesses that'll locate in that area. But that's all I had on correspondence. I don't know, Chris, did you have anything else there?
Okay, my question is, as far as this project goes, they indicated they have 170 feet more to install. Where is that at? Is that on 58 or is that in?
That's on 58, David. If you go over...
Okay, that's all I want to know. And it's going to be 12-inch down to 113, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then we're going to have 2 extra hydrants in there.
Correct.
We're going to put those on.
Right.
That's
Plus
gonna
you
be
get the
just
new
the
one,
township.
that sandstone put in, so there'll be
Okay.
3 of them
All right.
between 113 and
Are they all
Sandstone
connected?
Parkway.
Well, they'd have to be. They would have to have all their water line connected in the sandstone already. Otherwise, people couldn't be living back there.
Yeah, well, the water line, realize, comes in from 2 directions. Okay, so the ones that are in there now, they're being fed from the east side. This is going to be feeding the commercial end and the additional construction that's on the west side of the development. So it's, they didn't have a need for this particular water line.
But aren't they to be interconnected?
Yeah,
That's my
it'll be
understanding.
like, they always try to put a loop system
To be
in.
looped in.
Yeah,
Should help pressure then.
Right.
on the east side when it's
Yeah.
looped. Well, it should be looped now, shouldn't it?
They're not going to have any, it's not connected yet. What'll happen is they haven't even connected it going to the south side of 113. If you read through the email that I forwarded to you, prior to doing that, they'll make sure that they've got to run through, get the sediment out. They'll have to do some biological tests to make sure there's no other bad contaminants in there, since they're putting everything in new.
Yeah.
And at that time, it'll all be interconnected. Okay, if you have any other specific questions, I'd suggest you
Just-
contact Joe Waldecker
Just
directly.
wondered
His
where it
contact
was while we were
information.
speaking about it, Neil. Just wondered where it
Okay.
was.
Drive down 58, you'll see where it's all been smoothed over, where it's already installed, and you'll see the pipe laying where the new pipe needs to be put in. Some of it is stored back behind ESP Brewery and the Visitor Center. It's where they're staging the pipe right now that still needs to be put in. Okay? Okay, but did you have any
No, that was the question I wanted to ask. I was curious
Any
about that.
correspondence? Okay. All right, we'll move on to reports. Ambulance, I'm just going to repeat, our next board meeting will be on July 16th at the Amherst Fire Station at 11 o'clock a.m. Hopefully, we've got the reports from Life Care and see if the run rates are still consistent with what we've seen, or if there's any changes in addition to reviewing any of the outliers in terms of response time. There's no one here from the Sheriff's Department. Ryan's not here for zoning. I didn't see a report. To your knowledge, he has an issue to report and an update on new housing starts,
No, he must not
permits.
have.
Okay.
I'll have him send you guys one tomorrow, email.
Okay. I can tell you at the last zoning commission meeting, which would have just been last week, July 1st, the zoning commission approved 3 site plans. They approved one for the McDonald's that's going in at the Sandstone development. They approved the site plan for the Whiskeyville Roadhouse. That'll be on the southeast corner of State Route 58 and 113, where the old Marie's Timbers used to be. And then they also approved the site plan for Pogie's Catering, which is on the east side of State Route 58.
What was that one? What was
The
that?
Whiskeyville Roadhouse,
Yeah.
that'll be the Huffman family. They had purchased that property that had the Timbers and the old Ohio station.
Right.
And so now they've been on this for some time, but there's been delays. Biggest delay was working through ODOT and then the Stormwater District as far as their plans there. But they're going to put up, they're calling it the Roadhouse, but it's going to be a restaurant, tavern, and then they're going to have outdoor volleyball courts, and they've got indoor axe throwing. We'll see how that goes. They're looking for it to be an active recreational type facility, but in working with ODOT ODOT wanted no additional entrance on 58, which they originally had in their original plan, and they also took the entryway on State Route 113. They wanted to move that further to the east. As a result of those changes they had to do and the rearrangement of the parking lot, they downsized the physical size of the construction they were going to do, an actual building construction to make room for it. But, it was something they had to do in working through with ODOT and also allowing the room for the stormwater management. So they did have to downsize from their original plan. So obviously, some of us were hoping they'd also put in pickleball courts. That's not going to happen. But who knows? They can change things in the future. But those were the 3 items that the zoning commission brought up. I know at the next meeting they do have an area variant or use variance for Ledbetter. This is for the, they're like storage units, but they're storage units that have heating and air conditioning. They call them man caves. They've had some other discussions. We just got to watch this, that it's really going to be a commercial use. that they'd be renting out, not something that somebody's using for actual housing or living arrangements. But if you look it up online, you'll see this seems to be a new facet, kind of like the old small houses going in, but it's going across the country as far as putting these type of storage areas in and where people can work on whether it's cleaning boats or vehicles or whatever else they might have in place. But don't know if it'll be successful or not, but that's what the individuals at Ledbetter are planning to make this a commercial entity. Right now, the area that they have is not zoned for that, so that's why they're going for a variance before the Board of Zoning Appeals. So I don't know if that'll get approved or not. That's up to that board. I don't know, David, did I miss any? That for between the Zoning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals?
No, just covered all the variances and conditional uses and then the site plans. That's it. That's
Okay.
it right now.
Okay,
I know nothing.
all right. Okay, the Fire Prevention Officer not here tonight. We'll go Roads, Parks, and Cemeteries, Superintendent Smarsh.
All regular maintenance is running real smooth. We've been on some storm sewer repairs. We still have a handful left. And the jetter, Adkins was out, and we did some regular annual preventative maintenance jetting and a couple of sewers that we jetted to see where the problem was located. That was all good. The only other thing I have for you is the contracts for the OPWC Rustic Hill concrete replacement. They've all been signed. Chris has his, and he is slated to start that project on the last week of July.
Oh,
We went over it. He price matched with extra that was for that job, and there's also a really bad spot on Moonstone that is it's actually pumping up, and he's going to end up replacing that section there as well.
do you recall how big of a slab that is?
It is 14 by 50.
Okay. About 30% more.
How many feet are we looking at on Rustic Hill?
170.
That's the job. And then there'll be extra on there.
That's why I said it's about 30% more with adding 50 feet here, David, on Moonstone. In addition, realize on Rustic Hill, we've also got a catch basin that's being replaced. So that funding will come from the Stormwater District.
And where are we? We're between Allendale and D Drive, right? Allendale and D Drive?
Rosedale.
Rose.
Yeah.
Oh, Rosedale, okay.
Rosedale and D, yes.
Okay, that section.
Yep.
I know what you're saying. I was thinking of the terminus down there. Yeah, I know what you're
Starting
saying.
at Rosedale and going
Yeah.
170 feet heading west. I mean, if you go down there, you'll see it's needed. So I think we had shown a video of that probably 2 years ago now at a previous meeting.
Do we have ideas for next year, or?
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to mention, Kevin. And you've already answered one of the questions, is since we had such a good price, because they came in significantly less than what the engineer's estimate was, is that if we could add some additional, and you've already gone through that. But before we go on, let's officially award the bid. So we have a resolution here, and I'm glad you got that going ahead of time. If we get it done at the end of the month, that's great. So you do have in your packet, there's a prepared resolution, basically just authorizing the entering of Ohio Public Works Commission project agreement and awarding the bid upon full execution of the OPWC agreement for the Rustic Hill Lane concrete replacement project. I'm going to make this motion, and essentially we're awarding it to Sandstone Excavating in Amherst, Ohio. The contracts actually, since OPWC now sends everything electronically, and they do it sequentially, so, you know, I signed it, Chris has signed it, the fiscal officer is required to sign it. So our agreement with OPWC has already been signed. Kevin and Linda have copies of it, at least electronic versions, for this. So this is just officially awarding it and saying that we are entering in this agreement. You see all the backup information is attached to this particular resolution. So I'm going to make this motion.
Second.
Roll call when you're ready, Chris.
Lynch?
Yes.
Euring?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
The number on that, Chris?
7-4.
What was it, Chris?
7-4-25. Thank you. You're welcome.
So now you're all official there, Kevin.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and I know this is coming last minute to what David talked about in terms of additional projects. And it's hard to say till we get some of these estimates in, and also if we apply for grant funding, there's no guarantee we're approved, particularly in the subdivisions. This one, we did get a small amount of grant and loan, but the balance of it is township cost. Kevin, I've had a resident contact us who actually would have done similar planning work in the city of Lorraine. That's Jim Malik. We've talked about Jim before. But, you know, he's obviously lives down in the valley, so those are the roads he's more focused on, especially Fieldstone that he lives on. But Jim is willing to get residents together to discuss these things to help put together a plan for the future work. As we did, it's been several years, we had gone through a project and we did get funding from OPWC, but it involved a large loan component, and we just call it the Hidden Valley concrete replacement. So it was patchwork. You'll recall this. We went around multiple places and we did that bid up front. Obviously, if we can, and I know it adds complexity in the grant applications, we just went up through our first one. If we can partner that with the stormwater application at the same time, whether it's adding the additional drainage or maintaining, you know, these bad catch basins we've had and road undermining, is that, you know, Jim would like to participate in that. We can put together a significant application and pray that we get approved to get some funding. But if we do the loan component, and it depends whether OPWC gives us 20 or 25 years, that way we're paying it off over time. And we've got, when we did the approximate $600,000 in loans in the valley before, our first one was in 2009. So we're coming to the point where we're going to have one of those dropping off here soon, kind of like we had the property next door is already dropped off. And so it'll free that up. The other thing is, we've got predominantly the funding is in our general fund for that ARPA funding. With the Treasury had changed the rules, you know, as we were going along, and one of the things was for our budget being considered small, is we were able to use that funding for our ongoing expenses. So as Chris has presented the information of the trustees, you know, all of the salaries and compensation, we paid out of that ARPA account, so she used that. Well, what that did was reserve the funds in the accounts we normally would pay out of. So essentially it gives us a longer planning horizon versus you have to have this all spoken for in 2025, spent by 2026. So with that, it's our biggest cost tends to be our roads. So I want us to look at this as far as taking that funding and using it now to try and rehab some of these roads that we keep putting off as we nibble away with it with the available funding. I did tell Jim that, we're never going to turn down somebody wanting to participate, especially if the residents want to get involved. But I said to make it easy on the road department, it's generally going to be first thing in the morning, so it's generally going to be like a 7 o'clock a.m. meeting, so it doesn't disrupt your day. And he's okay with that. So I don't know, he's spoken with some other residents, if they'll still come in. They tend to be retirees, so they probably will. But just if we can plan for that, I said we can't just look at it just this subdivision or just your street. We've got to look at the overall for the township itself. I did explain to him eventually we should be turning over the maintenance of Oberlin Road to the county engineer. The verbal agreement we have is when the interconnection of Sandstone Parkway from Oberlin to 58 is complete, then the county engineer is willing to take over responsibility of that road. And you're aware of how much that cost us. So the current estimate for the completion of Sandstone Parkway is this August, so another month. We'll see if that happens, but that is the plan. I'm not sure, because then it's working through the county engineer, at what point they officially take over the responsibility of Oberlin Road. I don't know what the official process is to change that, because, this is going to be, I believe it's over 100 years since there was a new county road, being Sandstone Parkway. I don't know when the last time was they've had any change in responsibility of Oberlin Road. But right now, if you go travel Oberlin Road, other than in the city of Oberlin itself, everything's maintained by the county engineer except the sections in Amherst Township. Don't know how that ever came to be, but that is the situation. So all we're looking at is shifting it back, and now we'll get out of that where it takes us 4 years of applications to rehab that roadway, because, we just have to split it up in 4 sections because of the cost of that. Well, this will actually free up those funds to use on the new roadways that we're going to have responsibility for. So that's, where all the thinking is of shifting this around. Okay? And then as far as winter maintenance, the plowing and salting, that's something still to be discussed. And you'll have to participate in that. If there's parts we can do with minimal cost that improve safety, we'll want to do that. It all depends what the county's routes are going to be versus our routes and the timing of who gets there first. But I think we can work that out, make sure that, the reimbursement, if we end up doing parts with the salt, that, the county engineer can provide that amount, on a per road miles, however we do it. Or they may want to just take care of it all, but we've got to make sure that time-wise, it doesn't degrade the safety of the people, because that road's heavily traveled, in the mornings, whether it's school or people going to work. And you know what it's like when it gets icy. So it's, but in any case, I just wanted to let you be aware of that. I don't know, I know we decided that our chip and seal roads were good this year. I don't know, in your opinion, since you travel them, I don't travel every one of those, if you think we're going to get another year, or if we're going to be part of the county-wide bid next year, if that's hard to tell, not going through another winter yet.
Yeah, I would definitely say for next year, we would be a part of it.
Okay. Well, then that's another thing to consider is, and I don't know if this will work, since it tends to be for the roadways, but we've also are eligible for the cemetery grant now, which is, I think that's every 2 years we have to delay, Linda. So Linda just informed me something that has never been discussed at the OTA, and I suspect it's a change, especially since it's real bolded on the Department of Commerce website. They no longer will provide funding for a cemetery that hasn't had a burial, was it 1 year or 2?
25 years.
25 years. Well, obviously, Hill Ridge Cemetery is, there's no vacancies. That seems backwards to me, because you would think the cemetery that has no revenue coming in would be the cemeteries that are the toughest to maintain, but I don't know when that was put in. I just know it's never been discussed down in Columbus, and I've gone to multiple meetings on this. So I don't know if, the pathway coming through, which is basically chip and seal, if we can include that as part of this, so we get a good price, when they're up in this area, since it tends to be geographical, is the way they tend to do the roads. But just something to consider. You may, in your conversations with Sean, just, throw out the question so they can be thinking about it soon, because I'm not sure that grant just opened up. I'm not sure when the deadline is,
I
Linda.
believe it's July 30th.
So they just
They
give a
only give you a
month?
very short window to apply.
Well, there you go. So if you could make an inquiry to Sean as far as what we're thinking on this, and then, because he'll have to provide the estimates. And, but we'd have to put the grant request in now for what's going to be a project next year. That makes sense?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, but
Yeah. I was
only if
just
it's
on the phone with Sean. I got some other dealings with him. We're gonna be talking tomorrow, so yeah, I'll pass it.
Okay, it's just a way we might be able to get that fixed up, looking real nice, and do it all at once at the same time we're doing the chip and seal project on the roadways. And I don't know, David and Denny, if you guys have any comments or concerns there.
No, I don't.
Chip and seal?
Any of the discussion.
No, I think as long as our chip and seal, as long as we keep it from bleeding, we'll be okay.
Okay. All right, well, I'll get back to you, Kevin, as far as, with Jim and when he can meet. But is the best time 7 o'clock for you?
I'll make whatever work.
Or what's the best time for you?
That's the best time.
Okay, and we'll make it 7 o'clock, because that's usually what we set up on a Thursday, I told them, and we haven't had a Thursday meeting in a while, but when we need to, we try to do it at 7 a.m.
That'll work.
Okay, good deal. Okay, we'll move on to Senior Services Township Administrator, Linda Ashley.
We've talked about this many times, the AED compliance. We do have our AEDs. We have our shock boxes, which are dust-proof, waterproof, shock-proof. And they also have a pressure valve. In case it gets too hot, too steamy in there, it will release the pressure. We do have an outside box container. Kevin's working on it right now to somehow put some sturdiness to the back of it where he could bolt it to the garage down at the township park and one here. The guys, all the baseball, softball, soccer, and football teams are aware. We do have one signed agreement from the Amherst Junior Comets, which is the football. I'll have you guys sign that tonight. And we do have his check for $150 for the cost share. The others said that they would sign them and they would get them back to me. I don't have the other 3 yet. But I anticipate within the next couple weeks or so, we should have it all in place. When I talked to the softball gentleman, I did explain to him and also the junior comments about the lock and that we'll have to get him the combination and told him how it was going to work. So they're all on board with that. And they understand. Both of them did tell me that if we did not lock them up, it would not be there. It would either be vandalized or stolen. So they understand it completely and they'll work around using the lock. I put up on your plates or your places Xerox paperwork. Our copier printer that we have currently will no longer be supported as of December of this year. So the Xerox gentleman came out and talked to us and said that their recommendation is that we get a new printer. So you can see on the first page, it says our current equipment, which is what we have, the C2003. It prints up to 20 pages a minute. He's suggesting one of 2 other printers. One would be 25 pages a minute. One would be 30 pages a minute, and those are the upgrades. Other than the pages per minute, it's all the same. It's exactly apples to apples. Printer, copier, fax, and a scanner. We'll scan it to emails just like we've done. If we want to go with the maintenance agreement, like we have one currently, they come out once a year, they service it, we get our toner, our black toner for free. The colored toner we have to pay for, but we rarely go through colored toner because we don't do a lot of colored copies. And that will be, it's $307.20 a month for the agreement for 5 years. We can buy the printers outright. The one with, does 30 pages per minute is $5,200. The one that does 25 per minute is $4,600. My suggestion is we go with the 4,600. We're doing well with the 20 pages per minute. They don't offer that with their new program. It will come with a new base for the papers. It will give us 4 drawers, 2 drawers for the 8.5 by 11, so we actually are doubling the capacity for the 8.5 by 11. It has one for the 8.5 by 14, and that will have its own designated drawer for the 8.5 or the 11 by 17. So we won't have to keep pulling papers out to put the 11 by 17 in. And believe it or not, we do use the 11 by 17 frequently because of maps and things for
Right.
zoning.
Do you recall how long we've had this printer?
We have had this printer, let me see here, I got it right here. I believe since 2000, hold on. I had it, sorry David, I knew it right off the top of my head this morning. I want to say we've had it 8 years, so I think we've had it since 15. We got it in 2015, so we've had it 10 years.
How
And
many
it,
years?
10.
And we're leasing it?
It still works well for us, but it won't be supported, so if it breaks down, we can't get parts and they won't maintain it. They won't come out and fix it. They'll
get it?
take it, they will not buy it back from us because it's not going to be supported. So they have no use for it, but they will take it away if we decide to have them take it away.
How often has this broken down?
Very few times I've had them come out to do a squeak or a streak or whatever, you know, like on our print, on our copies. Sometimes we get, it's not aligned right or whatever, and they'll come out and do it. I believe I've only had them come out, I want to say just 3 or 4 times in 10 years. It's not a lot.
Are we giving up on a good copier right now? The only thing I'm thinking is if you don't get a new copier, then we're not covered under warranty. If something breaks down, you got to pay through your nose, and it could leave you high and dry in a tight situation.
Right.
That would be the worst thing. But in a way, I wouldn't say it's used. I mean, we've used it for 8 years, but it's still
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah. And it has been a great copier.
And
There's no question.
It still
about
got used to it. Are we giving up, are we just going to give them a good copier?
The only other option that we do have is just to keep it. It will be supported through December. After that, we're just kind of on our luck, you know. And if it does break down, like you said, then we might have a lull. It could be a week or could be 2 weeks before we could get a new copier. And you know how much we print.
Yeah. I'm just thinking we get this, either purchase it or lease it, and then, it's 5 years, 3 years, 4 years beyond that, then they'll say it's no good, you gotta do it all over.
It's just like phones,
Phones, computers. it's-
everything, right?
Yeah.
Because we have the same situation with our
Security
computers.
systems.
We have computers that will not update to Windows 11, and we only have till October. We have to get new computers. Welcome to the world of electronics.
Yeah, the other thing, Linda, in there, if we exceed the number of copies, you know, they then charge us per copy for color and black and white, and those numbers are also significantly less from the previous contract.
They are
So
less.
we went from roughly 2.5 cents per black and white copy to 0.8 cents per overage, and for the color, we went from 16.7 cents to 6.4 cents per color copy that are over and above the threshold level, so that's significantly less there.
And
But,
it's increased our number of black and white copies that are included.
yeah,
How often have we
Yeah,
gone over the,
For a year?
I'm sorry?
Is that for a year?
Yes.
How often have we gone over the limit?
Quite a bit, because
Every year?
usually every year when we get our bill, it's up. I can tell you from 2024, we used 22,254 black copies, and we used 1,600 colored copies. So our black and white were okay because we had 24,000 covered. But it was with our colored copies, we were charged $227.47.
Yeah, I mean, this is still, it get the better speed, get the lower cost if there's any overage. Then you've got the 11 by 17 with an actual tray versus having to hand feed those things where we have to pull the copier out and put it through, and it just, it takes much longer. This will make it much easier.
And the fact is that if we need it maintained because there's something that breaks down, they do come out rather quickly. In December or January, whenever it would be that they wouldn't maintain it anymore, they wouldn't even come out, and we'd have to have them come out then and go over all this again, get a new price, and then have them order it, and it could be 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, Chris, I don't have anything prepared, but I'll speak slowly.
I already wrote one in, so you go ahead and I'll change my wording.
Well, you want to read your wording?
I just said authorization to enter into Xerox Business Solutions agreement for the purchase of a new multifunction printer for the office.
Are we gonna
It'll
purchase
be
it or release it?
I
gonna
would
purchase
prefer to
it.
purchase it.
Yeah.
We'll purchase
If
it,
you're
but
gonna
then-
lease it, it's gonna be $9,000.
Are
Right.
we going to do the maintenance agreement, because that's a separate
yeah.
one too?
Yeah, so if you can put in, Chris, it'll be the Xerox VersaLink C7130.
Okay.
They have the two options here. 3 if you add in the leases.
Are we doing the 130? That's the $5,200 one.
So you want it, I'm thinking you want the
7125.
125. No, the one,
Yeah, the one that's 25.
that's the
Oh, they've
125.
got,
C7125.
oh, gotcha. Yeah, it says
C7125, that's the-
C7125.
Okay, to purchase of a new Xerox VersaLink C7125 multifunction printer for the office.
Right, at a purchase option of $4,600 plus the $307.20 annual service agreement.
That's optional.
It is, but we don't have anybody here that's going to get in there and start changing belts and gears and
Yes.
No.
heaters and,
You want me to read that back, or
Yeah, go
somebody want to
ahead.
make a motion, or what do we got to do, or is that? Authorization to enter into Xerox Business Solutions agreement for the purchase of a new Xerox VersaLink C7125 multifunction printer for the office at a purchase option of $4,600 plus a $307.20 annual service agreement.
yeah, as long as the township administrator's handling that. So if that motion covers that, Chris, we're okay. So Linda can get started on this.
I
Can
will
you make a
second.
motion?
Yeah, I'm making the motion. Yeah, I don't want her to have
I
to
will
wait for the
second.
trustees to sign it.
Okay? Lynch?
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
It's 7/5/20.
Okay, Linda?
And then I just have one other thing to bring to your attention. It was something that Ryan's been working on too. We did put a lien on the tax bill for 323 Deepwood for grass cutting. Their weeds were over 6 feet tall.
This was the one in Deepwood?
Yes, Deepwood.
What was the
So
address?
323 Deepwood. It's one that, it's a frequent flyer. We do it every year. So we did just send that in last week or 2 weeks ago to Renee. Because too many complaints were coming in and it was just getting too tall. And by the time after the rains and all that lovely stuff, it was actually up over the hole that they have in the front yard. So it was quite a significant bill, but it is put on his tax lien. So hopefully we get it back. The other property that he owns at 8935 Oberlin Road, which again is another one that we repeatedly have to mow. The bank is involved in it now, and they have been mowing the lawn. Ryan's been down there and talked to the gentleman that's doing work inside of the house and did get contact information for the bank, and he has been talking to them. So they're taking care of that, which is
Bank
good
working in
for
the
us.
house?
I don't know if it's,
It's not
How-
the property owner.
no, how the bank's involved, I do not know, but I do know they're involved and they've been taking care of the property.
Is that the one that is behind on the property taxes?
The one on Deepwood is behind significantly.
All right. Because there was, Mr. Boyle was the last complaint, who lives next door in Deepwood. I mean,
Yes.
we've had multiple complaints on this one over the years, and as you stated, we've been paying to get it mowed and then trying to get reimbursed through the property
Right.
taxes, but if they're not paying the property taxes, we're not
No,
getting
they're
reimbursed
significantly
either.
behind.
Um,
But I will tell you, when the gentleman went out to mow, the neighbors all came over to thank him, and they stood there and they clapped.
oh,
They were
yeah.
happy.
It still probably looks messy.
It's never going to look nice because it is weeds. It is not even grass at this point. It's thistles.
Yeah, eventually the home's going to have to turn over. It just, the residents are going to have to be patient because it's got to follow the statutory process.
We did talk to the auditor about it a little while ago because we were looking into how they put the tax liens on the bills and all that. And they said that at this point, it wasn't worth them doing anything about it as far as taking it for unpaid property taxes because he didn't owe enough. There's a threshold of what they will go after. And he wasn't there yet, and I don't know what that threshold is or when that will be, but it's in the auditor's hands.
Okay. Well, I know you've got enough things on your plate, but it may be a question for the prosecutor's office then, as far as any next steps on maintenance.
I did run it by the prosecutor's office to see if there was some way that we could force the homeowner to take care of their lawn, because this one has been where he uses us as a lawn service. And she said, no, there's nothing we can do. We just have to let it go through the process. We're doing what we can. But she did let us know that we were able to, there's extra fees that they put on at the auditor's office. We were able to add those extra fees and put them on so that when the auditor takes them off, we're still getting at least paid back 100% for what the mowing service was.
Okay, good.
Rather than losing, we lost like 15% or something overall. So she said, yes, we can do it as long as we document it. We have spreadsheets.
Okay, good.
So as long as it's documented, so we're actually putting on a little higher cost to cover what the auditor takes.
No matter what, our cost to mow that has to be higher than if he just contracts them.
Definitely is.
But I don't know what the specifics are going on there, because now you'd mentioned you've got a contact now for the Oberlin Road, but it's not the owner. We've never been able to
We
reach the owner.
still cannot find the owner. We know his name from the auditor site. He's
Yeah.
only listing 8935 as his mailing. That's where the tax bills are going to. Whether or not he picks them up or they get forwarded, we don't know.
In his mailbox.
I'm sorry?
Is there anything in his mailbox? Does he pick up mail?
I don't know.
Stuff in it?
And I'm not going to look because that's illegal.
Illegal.
That's it. That's enough.
All right. Are there any other questions for Linda?
No, I don't
All
have
right.
any.
All right, thanks, Linda. Okay, for the items under unfinished business that are assigned specific responsibility, are there any things to bring forward?
No, I have nothing to bring forward at this time, Neil.
Okay.
No?
And I had mentioned under item 10, new business, we're just going to put the discussion on parking and Hampshire Farms on hold till we hear back from the homeowners association. Our next regular meeting will be at 7 o'clock on Tuesday, July 22nd. As far as a work session is, I will just be talking with Kevin, and we'll decide what to set something up and invite Jim in. We'll make sure it's when he can meet and some other residents to discuss what our options are going forward. Hopefully before then I can get, and I don't know, Chris, you probably don't have anything that OPWC sends you for the loan status or payment history, because on their website you can, I started putting together a spreadsheet because the way they have the projects listed that are still outstanding, you got to go into each one and
I have
pull
a
the
little sheet for each one.
Okay.
It's the
Can
same, you just
copy
print off
that
the
and
sheet. I'll have to look for it, yeah.
Okay, that'd help, because I started pulling out, they used to put it all on there as one sheet, but then they took it away when they brought it back, and I'm sure it was a software upgrade. It's just the way they present it now is not in complete format, so it's not like you can look back and see the payment history and when the payoff point is. You know, with every project that we have going that still have a loan component remaining. So that'd be helpful if you've got it, save me a lot of time. So I'll let you know, Kevin. We'll work out a convenient date. Hopefully it's a rain day. All right, is there any need for an executive session?
I have none.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Section?
Lynch,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Uri.
Yes.